Welcome to Worldview Matters, discussing controversial issues, discerning current events, defending biblical Christianity. No topic off limits. And now, here's your host, David Fiorazzo.
Good afternoon, evening, good morning, and just hello to everybody. Hi, friends. God bless you. Thanks for sharing Worldview Matters and for tuning in again. Today, we've got a special treat, a friend that I've known for years, but it's hard to believe this is her first time on Worldview Matters. It's Tina Marie Griffin. She was a Hollywood actress for years, decades, in fact. She built a reputation of being a leading media expert. She's traveled globally speaking, and this is over 20 years now, revealing how pop culture and the entertainment industry is glamorizing harmful behavior. Hello. And then she just goes and speaks on these tours. She's got a podcast. She's got all kinds of tools and resources available for you, but I want to bring her on right now. A lot to talk about. Tina, sister, good to have you on Worldview Matters.
Hey, thank you for letting me drop a bomb since you dropped a bomb on our program about a week or two ago. So thank you for causing waves all over America and beyond.
I did?
Oh, well, it's a good bomb. It didn't air yet. You just got on the program. Yeah, no, you'd know when it airs because, the debris will be falling in a good way.
So just so you guys know, I was on her show. That's going to air, I guess, in July, right? Sometime in July?
Yeah, yep.
All right. Debris will be falling. I like that. Maybe we'll title this episode, Debris Will Be Falling with Tina Marie Griffin, counterculturemom.com. So let's talk about a little bit of your background first and then get into some of the issues like Hollywood Exposed and just what we've seen, the moral decline and the things that you and I have been preaching about for years that influence the moral decline and especially reach out and reach children. So you were an actress. First of all, you grew up in Wisconsin and then you were an actress out in LA. Sounds familiar. I went on tour first with the Christian band. Then I moved out to California, did some acting. And so let's start with you, Tina. So what got you out there? And then I know you've observed a lot when you're working on these shows and you said, I'm sure you got to a point where you said, I'm not sure if this is what I want to be a part of promoting anymore.
Yeah. And honestly, if I did anything that I shouldn't be even promoting that would cause my dad to have a heart attack or a God to strike me dead, I didn't do it. So I wasn't a drug dealer or, going at it with like some sex scenes when I first moved out there. I don't know what people told you. That is not accurate. I went out there, sold out for the Lord at 16 years old. And as I was walking to the front of Interfaith Fellowship, I think it's called Hope Church now, but it's Green Bay, Wisconsin. I remember the day. It was September 14th, 1994. I was a junior in high school at Pulaski High School. And I walked up to the front and I told Lord, I'm willing to take a bullet for the cause. And I say that still today. And I might seriously, who knows what times we're living in here. We see it. I might be taking a bullet for the cause, but I'm still as strong today than I was back then, if not stronger. And I went out to LA when I was 20 years old after getting 2 years under my belt at University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. I had a television broadcasting degree that I was going towards, but I wanted to do more than TV reporting for the Green Bay Packers. They didn't have a good streak in a row those years. So I'm like, I got to do something bigger and better. Even though I love Green Bay, love you guys, cheese curds, go Pack, go, all that will always be in my blood. But I went to LA for the sole purpose to witness to the lost because I saw as a teenager, if I could lead a celebrity to the Lord, bring them to church, and they ran from the drugs and alcohol or the bad behaviors they were promoting in TV that was killing my generation. In fact, 5 of my classmates in Pulaski High were killed when I was in 6th grade and they were in 7th grade, where a guy overdosed on some medication and he killed 5 classmates. They were the year ahead of me.
Wow.
But for a small town of Pulaski, 2,200 people, I went to their funeral. I'm like, I've got to do something to fight back against that. And that was late 80s, I believe it was. It really changed my life when that happened in our small town there in Pulaski. And so I started seeing media having a massive influence on kids drinking and driving and premarital sex. Back then, the cutting wasn't a big issue and we didn't have any tech gadgets in our hand, but still it was nasty business. That's what caused me to want to go to LA and reach celebrities for the Lord, learn as much as I could in film and TV so that I could change the message coming from the Hollywood Hills. Instead of death and destruction, life and living it to the fullest. And if there was a death scene, if there was a drive-by shooting, that the reality of those actions would be portrayed, not the glamorization of it.
That's good. I want to go back to something you said, trying to witness to people there. I've got a good friend still out there. He's a screenwriter. He's a comedian. He does a lot of extra work, and he writes scripts, and his name is Jonathan Kahn. He's given Bible tracts to, do you know him?
I don't know of him. I haven't met him in person. I've gone to his events. He's phenomenal.
Okay, well, he's given Bible tracts to Tim Allen, Sylvester Stallone. He'll walk up to someone on the set, and within 90 seconds, I admire his boldness, but sometimes the sensitivity where he's at, but he does it anyway. He gives Bible tracts and shares the gospel with one sentence. And I'm going, wow, man. I mean, yes, we're all called to do that, but that is a gift to not be intimidated, to go up to a star, a celebrity who needs Jesus, by the way. And you're right, Tina. You're right. If more of them would be saved by the blood of Jesus and come to know the Lord, be born again, just imagine the impact an already famous person could have. Go ahead and share any stories you have or comments on that.
You're going to have to tell me when the time is up, because I could give you 3,478 stories that are file cabinet in my brain. The most recent one that I can think of, I was just on tour. I did a 2-week tour throughout Iowa. It was phenomenal. I got to speak at Rise Fest. And the weird thing is, June is always the anniversary of how many years I've been speaking, but I'm getting old that I forgot how many years I'm speaking. A little over 2 decades, but I'm up on stage, not even having a chance to have a panic attack, but they said about 12 to 15,000 was in that crowd for Rise Fest, and it was a sea of people. And before you know it, I was shoved up there, like, go and do it. And as I'm living out the calling, I'm just looking at the sea of people, how many people are absolutely distracted from what pop culture is pumping out. And one person I always talk about, and I was so excited to expose her, but tell people pray for these celebrities, is Ariana Grande, because she has over 373 million followers, the top most influential pop culture icon, idol, and not in a good way, for our youth of America to follow. And yet she's closely tied with Planned Parenthood. And what she does is she goes up on stage, she does her sexual dancing, hardly any clothes on. Young girls are in the audience, parents drop them off thinking no big deal, it's innocent and it's not harmless. When you got people that are saying that they're witches, like even Taylor Swift and her influencers that she looks upon, like Stevie Nicks is a full-fledged witch. We just shared about that in our Counterculture Mom show. And you've got all these large icons that are leading a lot of girls astray. They become sexually active because they're getting wanting to get the attention in the wrong way. Now they're going to get an abortion, most of them, and Planned Parenthood makes bank, which has nothing to do with preparing to be a parent. And the whole nasty cycle continues. So I have shared about these stories forever. And what you said earlier about celebrities not wanting to do what they're doing, that is exactly the case. I've been sharing about this forever, but Brittany Murphy, same situation. I met her on Little Black Book, and she worked with Marshall Mathers on 8 Mile right before that movie. And she said, Tina, I don't agree with what I'm doing, but I'm doing it to get ahead in the industry. And it's the sex, the drugs, and she's dead today, but she regretted what she was doing on set. So that's not leaving a positive legacy. And in fact, the thing that breaks my heart is all these kids being impacted by what these celebs are promoting, and yet these celebs don't even let their own kids listen, watch, and they don't agree with what they're pumping out.
That's a good point, because we've read stories and it's like, isn't that hypocritical? You see celebrities that send their kids to a certain school or don't let them do certain things. Very interesting. But you mentioned something. I want to get your take on this. Ariana Grande, Katy Perry, Miley Cyrus, Madonna, Lady Gaga, and now Taylor Swift, regardless of what you naive people might think of her, they're promoting all this garbage and trash and sex and women's empowerment and feminism, but they're really causing just a lot of destruction. And why is it that women, when they come to a level of stardom or fame, it's almost demonic. It's almost like this. They're trying to be goddesses, like Gaia worship or something. What's another one? Oh my goodness, she sang at the Super Bowl a few years ago.
Rihanna's
not Rihanna.
Beyonce. Beyonce also.
Oh my
said she was
goodness. Jennifer
Sasha
Lopez.
Fierce.
Jennifer Lopez.
Jennifer Lopez.
But yeah, Beyonce. Oh my goodness, was that demonic? But talk about this, Tina, because that's very interesting to me that these women take on almost a god or goddess form or power. Go ahead.
Oh man, there's like 80 things I want to mention. First of all, to nail home what you said about these different celebs, you said it's almost like demonic. It really is demonic. That
Yes.
is exactly what it is. And Taylor Swift, I challenged the kids even the last couple of weeks, look at what these people are wearing. She just wore, while on tour, a very risque outfit that had snakes on it. And she is very clearly showing us who she follows, Lucifer.
Yes.
So just by calling it out the way it is, what I like to do with teens that might say, oh, it can't be that bad. I tell them, do the research. Man, prove me wrong if you can. Give me the dirt. I don't have all the evidence. There's constantly new stuff coming out every single week. Typically, I'll get pounded with people saying, you just came to this homeschool conference and you talked about Taylor Swift and the dangers. I did some more research. You challenged us. Some of them said, I wanted to try to prove you wrong. And they would send me the info saying, here's some more dirt to add to it. Go for it. You're exactly on target. So I don't remember an email ever coming in where a disgruntled, most of the people get it, thanks for coming, but that's not why I do it, to get accolades. It's just, these are people on fire because they see what I see, and not many people are calling it out like you and I on the front of the battle lines, saying it like it is. But every now and then I'll get a kid that's disgruntled and I'll lovingly respond to them. Prove to me what you're saying if you don't agree that I'm on the right page with it. And they typically come back to me with more evidence to show that they've done the research and now they see where I'm coming from. And that is a way to teach young kids to understand who their enemy is. I mean, a lot of times we're like, we can't give Satan any power and we can't be constantly talking about demonic influence and it's got to be Jesus and praying. And yes, absolutely, we have to be praying. And yes, Jesus is the whole reason we do this. But God told me 20 some years ago, Tina, if you're not going to show the youth of America who the enemy is and to study the enemy and his agenda, they will be distracted. They'll be deceived through by the pit of hell with all the demons and the forces out there because they don't know how to discern.
Yes. Yes. So important, discerning of spirits. We've kind of lost that in the church a little bit. It's interesting. We got to take a brief pause in a minute, Tina, but I think going back to the Beyonce Super Bowl halftime show, she even admitted in an interview that an entity, which is a demonic spirit, Sasha Fierce, comes into her and takes over when she performs. I mean, just people, if you don't believe some of this, look, like Tina said, do the research, look up the background, what they say in their own words. And it is clearly, it's easy to see who's leading and who's influencing our young people today. But you also mentioned the gadgets, phones, technology. I want to talk about that when we come back. Plus, we'll talk about San Francisco. And there's something I want to ask you about that, your recent trip a couple weeks ago or a month ago. We'll be right back with Tina Marie Griffin, the website counterculturemom.com.
Today's episode is brought to you by Freedom Project Academy. Take back your kids' education. FPA's fully accredited classical curriculum provides live, on-demand, and homeschool courses built on Judeo-Christian values. Request your information packet and save 10% on tuition by visiting freedomforschool.com. That's freedom, F-O-R, school.com.
We're very thankful for Patriot Mobile, for Freedom Project Academy, for Harbingers Daily. And if you know someone who might be interested in sponsoring Worldview Matters, please send us an email, worldviewmatters@fpeusa.org, and the website, worldviewmatters.tv. So Tina Marie Griffin, Counterculture Mom. First of all, where can people hear the Counterculture Mom podcast? How often and where can they access that?
Absolutely. The best spot to go to is counterculturemom.com. That's counterculturemom.com. On there at the very top, you'll see a show tab. You can either watch the program. We're on about 25 different TV platforms at the moment. You guys are our top choice. Oh, yeah. And we also have American Family Radio. We're on 179 stations every Sunday afternoon at 1 p.m. Central, in between Jan Markell and Alex McFarland. And then, of course, any kind of podcast platform. My favorite way to watch our program is literally via TV, because we load it just like you do with video footage and basically the evidence, the videos that we gather, the fantastic images, the documents to prove what we're saying is factual, because a lot of times people aren't understanding or realize how bad it is or what to do to solve a problem, because mainstream media, which is right now owned by Satan himself, is not showing people the evidence. So I just tell people, do the opposite and believe the opposite of mainstream media, being out there for a decade, just seeing what they pump out. They give you a script. You know that. They give you a script. So...
And I'm also thankful for our brothers out in Simi Valley, California, Pastor Joe Schimmel, Good Fight Ministries, and Chad Davidson, Ephesians 5:11, because you and I have been on that same page for years, exposing the deeds of darkness, not participating with Pride Month and what's going on. Actually, it's queer all year. Let's just be honest. It's not 1 month anymore. But Tina, before we get to the San Francisco and your recent phone call, you mentioned the Gadget Generation. Speak to that for a minute. Our great grandparents would have no idea what to do with all this. I mean, phones, computers, everything else. The technology today, it's really easily distracting. People have shorter attention spans, and that puts a hindrance in a way on the Word of God. Although we can use all these things to share the gospel and promote the Word of God, point people to Jesus. But I think a lot of damage is being done. Just your thoughts on the challenges of the gadget generation.
If I didn't need the gadgets, I'd say put them in the backyard and light them on fire. But I'm trying not to be that nuts. And I really, you and I get these questions a lot, and I don't want to in the can answer where we say, oh, there's all these dangers. People know that. Yeah. I think a tool can be used for positive or negative. You have to make sure you have the safety parameters on it. Yes. And we actually have the Counter Culture Mom app that is phenomenal. We've got 6 people just on our app alone that are pumping out content daily with notifications. And if parents want to know what's coming up for a movie, a TV show, a series, if it's a free viewing to something, Ken Ham with the Ark, if he's got a special running, one of our podcasts that popped up with godly entertainment for people to watch, or just something to be aware of that's new on TikTok, you name it. We have it fast and easy popping up through our Counterculture Mom app that helps people navigate it. So, and each kid's different. You have some kids that are responsible with a tech gadget at 15, and you have some 18-year-olds that can't handle a video game for 30 minutes. So, kids, your kids the best. The biggest thing that I'm trying to focus on this summer is hardly have the kids on any tech gadgets at all and enjoy the outdoors before any more chemtrails are sprayed in the air. You see me where I'm constantly adding this in, but I am soft compared to you on our program. There was a part where you were so on fire. I think you didn't take a breath for about 2 minutes. I'm like, yeah. But you and I, it matters because we have one life to live. Let's make it count. Our kids are only under the roof for a brief blimp of time. Yeah. My oldest is almost driving, and I feel like I just birthed him yesterday. So it's so important to spend time with our kids, go to the Ark, take a fun summer trip. We just did a summer special series on fun trips you can take, how to pack light, where to go overseas for on a dime. It's our summer travel series. So check it out at Counterculture Mom. But create memories with your kids. Every time we go do something for a couple of days in this 2-week tour, I had each kid look up the states we're driving through and give me the one thing they want to do before we leave that state. And just to make it memory, remembrance, so you don't have any regrets later. There's so many more things I can say, but have the kids cook. I mean, yesterday we could have had a fire in the kitchen, but 2 of my middle kids learned what not to do on the burner.
That's funny. I know there's got to be a bigger, more of the story behind that, but we need to move on. That's funny. By the way, here's a quote I can share that our great grandparents and our grandparents knew about, and I kind of knew about when I was small. But today, you say this to kids, they have no idea. They look at you like, "What? Go outside and play." And do what? Anyway, you and I are, so anyway, the Gadget Generation, but let's go to San Francisco now. Please, I mean, not physically, but you were there. Let me go back. Let me preface this first, a little story. When I moved out to California, the first place I lived in, I left my garage door open, and my 10-speed bike was stolen. Now that it's no big deal. It's just a 10-speed, right? But that was, my sister died when she was 24. She was in an accident. Her and my brother-in-law died, and it was her bike, the 10-speed, that I took and brought to California. And so it had a meaning. It wasn't just a bike. And I felt like, man, I felt violated. But you went through something, and I know a lot of people go through a lot worse. You went through something when you took a recent trip to California last month, and someone stole all your stuff out of your car when you went in. Actually, were you just dropping off some clothes to give away or something? Tell that story briefly.
I wish that I sounded like a humanitarian when that actually happened. That wasn't the case. I wasn't giving. I was taking at that point, but I was getting for a deal. And I just want to preface one thing when you said trying to, with the kids, get outside and play. One quick thing I want to wrap up with that. It was back then when we were kids. My mom on the dairy farm in Wisconsin, right outside of Pulaski, they're just north of your studio, would have to ring a huge honking bell in the front yard to tell us dinner, because we would never hear her yell dinner. We were catching tadpoles. We were making forts in the hay and trying to bury our youngest brother alive because he had asthma. Just if he was bugging us, okay, we're going to put you in a hay fort. But we were literally outside causing the animals to stampede and trying to roll underneath the electric fence last minute before we get trampled over. That's what I was doing during my summer days. My brother's skiing, this is gross, but skiing on manure by grabbing the cowtails and kicking them. When it would rain, it's gross, but that's what we did for fun. We were energetic, we were creative, and today our kids are being brain dead on social media. So even for that aspect, get them outdoors so they aren't living under your roof at 35 with no job.
Oh my goodness.
But and parents want that, but I think us parents in our generation, 40s and under, I don't know what happened. It's like we forgot how we grew up as kids, and we almost need like a weekend getaway in the woods to remember what did we do as kids that we loved, because the phones made us brain dead. Get rid of the phones and write a whole list of something we did when we were kids, have memories, and then teach your kids how to do all that. Anyway, that's what I plan on doing. So I'm taking my own 2 cents.
Good.
San Francisco, I was taking, not giving. Here's what happens. I really think sometimes I cause some of this stuff to take place, because whenever I thank God for something specific, Satan will come, or his demon force will come and take it. And I'm not kidding. It's specific stuff that I'm praying over. I'm still going to praise God for specific stuff. It's not going to stop me, because then I don't want the enemy to win. But I took a trip using some airline miles, and I literally had the map up in front of my face. I'm constantly working 24/7. I don't know how to not work. That's a problem I've got. I really have to slow down and take a breather. But I think it was growing up on the farm, we never sat still, literally, and it became a disease. I have to
work
take a break.
ethic. Yeah.
It's work ethic, pros and cons to that. Well, I took a fun trip out there, went to go visit a friend of mine that I met at NRB TV this last year. We were both hosting a show for Mike Lindell's channel, Overcomers TV. We started talking. She was so on fire, so passionate about some stuff that happened to her in her past. I had a similar bomb that dropped on me. I'm like, I'm going to go and visit you. Well, 2 of those days, I had fun in San Francisco, and I like California. I survived there for 10 years. It can't be that bad. When I booked the ticket by going on a map and narrowing down the state and then San Fran, my husband's like, "You're nuts. You're gonna get killed out there." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? It's California." I didn't know it was that horrific. When this happened to me, I told Sam Sorbo via text, I'm like, "Hey, this is going on. Pray for me." She goes, "What were you doing in that godforsaken part of the country?" But I went because San Fran has a cool, hip stores and vintage stuff. And I really wanted to up the ante with my wardrobe. I feel like I'm wearing the same 5 shirts over and over again. So I went and had fun. 4 hours before I went to the airport for a flight out on a Monday night, end of April, I went to this Goodwill boutique because they have cool, funky stuff for on a dime. I'm living on a budget. I walk out after 20 minutes to replug the meter. And I saw the second car in right in front of the store, literally 2 of the 4 windows completely blown out. There was glass all over the street, and I felt like someone shot me. That was my original feeling, because I felt so unbelievably violated. And I knew it was going to be all gone. Well, it's not as though they broke the windows and popped the trunk. These people don't, I guess, think straight. They didn't pop the trunk to get what they wanted out of the trunk. They took knives, sliced the seatbelts in the backseat of my car, and pulled it through the backseat of the car. And a guy got it on camera, said I tried to stop it. I was across the street. He showed me the footage. And I'm like, those guys have to be demon possessed. There's no way people like that move like they did and did what they did. And it wasn't just that. 2 hours before, I'm driving up the coast, thanking God for the ministry, thanking God for all the fantastic years in Hollywood, thanking God for the program that I've got, thanking God for the killer outfits and the jewelry and just funky stuff that I hardly ever can find. And literally, they grabbed all of it, including my laptop, all my tech stuff that I had with me. And I packed light, but it's worth 10 to 15 grand. Threw what they didn't want in some lady's lawn right down the street with my empty suitcase with my phone number on it. So I was at the police station telling Satan, you keep taking. Like, we lost our house this year. It's been one thing after another.
Wow.
But I said, you will never have my voice. And I'm yelling to the demons in this park by the police station. She brings back the couple things that the demons didn't want. And then the treasures I specifically prayed for and thank God for 2 hours earlier were gone. But they took the stuff out of the bag, this cute little brown bag. I'm like type A. So I had it tucked in my suitcase or in my backpack a certain way so I could carry it with me on the plane. They took it out of the bag. They took the bag out of my backpack. They put the bag, laid it gently underneath the big pile of glass underneath my window. So the window shattered first. They placed the bag under there after. That's how insane these people were. And when I came around the corner, I felt like Satan was telling me, you thought it was protected. We got you. We got you. That's the only thing I thought in my brain.
Wow.
But there's been like 5 things that have happened to me like that in the last 5 weeks. I kid you not. Like, I kid you not. It's just been one thing after another, but it's not stopping me. And I want to tell your viewers, when we serve God, and you know what I'm talking about, David, when we serve God,
attacks.
It's attacks, but it's such an exciting life to live. It's an exciting life to live. I have never been bored. I'm not bored. If something attacking me, well, I'm doing something right. I might have to breathe through it, walk around the building a couple times. Now I have to douse my house in oil because we had something demonic pounding on our door about 3 weeks ago at 11 o'clock at night. Husband opens the door with the scope and the gun. Nobody there.
Wow.
So, and some other crazy stuff where I talked to a demon on the phone. So not that they were squealing, I was talking to it. So
oh my goodness,
that's all in the last 5 weeks, David, but it's an exciting life to live and we're doing exactly what God's called us to do.
Yeah. Amen. I wish we had another episode. We're going to have you back and there's so much more to talk about, Tina, but just reminds people that there will be warfare. Jesus said, in this world, you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. There will be persecution. There will be entities that hate us, and sometimes the minions, people. Satan uses people, but God uses people too. We are being used by him. And friends that are listening and watching, you're being used by God for such a time as this. Thank you for your voice, Tina Marie Griffin. So much more we didn't get a chance to talk about on counterculturemom.com. Go to her Facebook page, Twitter. God bless you and expand your territory, sister.
Download the app.
Yep,
thank you. Download that Counterculture
right.
Mom app. Watch our show. You rock. Keep at it, buddy.
Right.
Keep at it.
Thanks, Tina. God bless you, friends. And as always, keep speaking the truth about things that matter.